And I was happy to see Jerry hiding.
Hiding, yes. That's a very old flea bespecked, very old picture.
But you just got a smidgen of him so that he keeps in the back of your mind.
Well, it's so unhip to say you're at one time a deadhead, but I can qualify it. I can qualify to say I only liked the period when they were a Speed Freak jamming band, and I think Anthem of the Sun is a great lost American album, and I have had a fantasy of getting all my musicians friends together and a real hip sound engineer and do it live on the summer solstice. And the parts that are music concrete, extend some of the areas, but have pretty much an orchestra, so it's recreated, and have a really good R&B singer to do the Turn On Your Love Light thing. And anyway, I've thought about it, and I've plotted it out. I've just never acted on it, but I would, that's the only part. Everybody goes, "Working Man's Dead." Well, no. I like this
the proto-punk stuff.
Yeah, or just they were a jazz band, and really, and they approached everything like a jazz band, and same with Numbers Band for that, and that's Terry and Bob scheming to what could we do that's different.
Yeah, and no one else has ever sounded like them, or there's no band you could compare them to.
I am a roaring fan and evangelist for them, because I think they're a national treasure, and the fact that Kidney didn't get a Guggenheim, or Kidney and Terry didn't get Guggenheims or MacArthur or whatever, is a shame. I've tried to, they don't take recommendations, but I've tried, to say, these people deserve, your reward. There's much of a genius. There are as much genius as everybody else you could give your awards to. I'm happy that Bob is finally getting some recognition from Cleveland Arts Council or whatever, and that's great. But I want more for them. Always have.
Yeah, I was blown away when I went and worked in Stuttgart, Germany for the first time in 1985, 86, and CDs had just come out, and I go into HMV, I think it was, or some Shell Platinum store,
right?
And there's frickin' Numbers Band CD, and I was like, oh my god! And at that point, I wasn't aware that they were known outside of Cleveland. I knew them as someone that played the Euclid Tavern that I lived right down up the hill from, and seeing that album in a German record store just was mind blowing. And
similar experience, Clapham Market in London. They have a flea market every Sunday.
Sure.
Yeah, and flipping through the records, and there's Jimmy Bell still in town. I held it up and said, "You English people, it was a pound or something, I don't know how it wound up there. English people, you must have this, I don't remember if anybody bought it, but I was so happy to find it, in the used bin in England. It was just
the Dead taught hooking up with that same Alice Cooper tape I just told you about when I got to College of Worcester and met other tapers, and they were all Grateful Dead tapers.
Yeah.
I said, I made this Warren Zevon and this Alice Cooper, and they're like, oh my god, these sound like shit. Listen to our tapes.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, oh my god, how do you do that? And so it was wonderful, because my taping, good quality taping career began whenever the Dead weren't touring. My friends would let me take their D5 rigs and their Neumanns and
the Shops right.
And so I followed REM 83, 84, 85, taping their shows like crazy with those setups, and made really good stuff for the REM freak.
Yeah, Nagra or something.
But when Dead started covering Dylan, 83, 84, 85, I started compiling, because I was always a Dylan freak, he's my favorite. I started compiling these Dylan cover cassettes, and they'd add another one, and I ended up hooking up with these old Dylan collectors, these guys that published this fanzine called Look Back. And the guy, Dr. Robert Whitehouse, is a doctor up in Chardon area, but he's one of the world's biggest Dylan collectors, and his passion was publishing this magazine. So the weekend of the first Farm Aid, Whitehouse is like, hey, I got a visitor from England, and he said, big taper, he'd like to meet you, and he brings Clinton Halen to my house.
But he brings what?
Clinton Halen. Clinton wrote the book called From the Velvets to the Voivoids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
got that.
And so Clinton came and raided my tape collection. The Peter Lofner stuff he got from me, he ends up putting out on that Take a Guitar Player for a Ride CD. I got a name check out of it, but the jump from disdainful, regarded Grateful Dead to hooking up with Peru freakazoid people, and it's all connected. It doesn't matter what kind of music it is, There's so much cross-pollination, or I learned this from this person, and I'm bringing this.
Yeah, you go to a show, a local show, and you're knocked out by something, and you go, suddenly, and instead of going like this, going this way, or going that way. Oh, yeah. Rich fertile ground, right? It was just, and it was such a major market, Cleveland, and you could just see, we were on the tour circuit, and I spent so much time in Kent, and Gary Lockwood and all these other people who booked the Cove, that any blues person you could possibly, Hound Dog Taylor was there every other weekend, Charlie Musselwhite, at the Cove. It was just, Kent was so, I got to give you a couple CDs. I mean, Kent for me was heaven. I absolutely loved it, and I did a project called Easy Life that is me kind of as a artsy-fartsy student before the shootings, and how wonderful it was to be in that environment. And the English department was stellar. The film, Richard Meyer, the film department, and the art department was sensational. And this is a run-down kind of, land-grant college, and it shouldn't have been this good. And they had Black Mountain poets, in there, because they were Black Mountain professors or students, teaching in the English department, and it was just the richest possible environment. The student activities board brought in everybody, Butler Fuller, Gary Schneider, and it was one fabulous, even in this area too, Klaus Oldenburg. I was at the show where DEVO opened for Klaus Oldenburg, and I actually have a poster that I purloined that I still have hanging from. They didn't have any money, so the biggest poster thing that they could do was an blueprint. Well, it turned out to be either it's changed color, I don't remember, but now it's red. And somehow it's broken. I think it might have been blue, but somehow it mutated. It's the big picture of Bougie Boy. They had one on either side of the stage. I can purloin one. Don't tell anybody. Anyway, yeah, just rich environment to see DEVO blossom, and I lived next door to those people. There was we're continuing about Kent. There was 405 Longmere. It was 4 apartment buildings above a pizza parlor, Guido's Pizza. Apartment number 1 was Casali and Bob Lewis. Later, Casali and Mark Mothersbaum. Apartment number 2 was me and my girlfriend. Apartment number 3 was Bruce Hensel, who went on to be chief engineer at Criteria after being front of house mixer at Fillmore West. And apartment number 4 was Terry Hine and John Zaborki. John Zaborki's girlfriend, Linda DeSena, left they started Modern Prompts in LA, which is any kind of blinking light, sci-fi console. That's what they designed, and Linda was, if not, God, get away. If not the set designer, she was one of the set designers for Blade Runner. Which set the standard for
special effects.
cyberpunk. The look of the future, not the seedy dystopian thing that she just that apartment building, and Joe Walsh was living with Bruce for a while, and Chrissy would come up on the weekends from Firestone High School and pass out on Terry's floor. And it was just the greatest environment to be in, and then it's over. Bang.
Before bang. More before.
Yeah, so that changed everything, of course. But on a lighter note,